Welcome to My Accent is No Accident podcast. I am your host, Maritza Perez. We are here today with a man who is a game changer, whose purpose is to teach everyone in the world to accept and appreciate the wide range of differences in all people. His name, André Brown. André, I would like to read your bio to our audience so they get to know you better. In 2020, following a career in the child welfare system, André M. Brown founded Racial Just Us, an agency combining his expertise as a trainer and International Coaching Federation certified coach. He developed Coaching for Community, also called CFC, a program that helps participants create an individualized anti-racism and anti-discrimination approach meaningful to them. CFC is an innovative and impactful way for participants to accept and appreciate the differences in all people. André also serves to facilitate growth by helping clients understand their strengths and challenges and assist in developing solutions to maneuver through often difficult situations with patience and humility. Welcome, André. It is an honor to have you as a guest on my podcast.
Thank you, Maritza. It's really great to be here, and I just want to thank you for your work and thanks again for having me.
Thank you so much. You have no idea how much I was waiting for this interview. I wanted to have a conversation with you for so long. I mean, it amazed me, your heart, and just the fact that you are a game changer and you realize all these while we were in the middle of the pandemic. I love that. But before we get into our interview, I would like to ask you our signature question. Andrew, please tell me, what is your accent and why is not an accident?
My accent is that I am someone who is really committed and passionate about seeing people grow and seeing people be able to have as much freedom to enjoy their lives, to be productive, to connect with others, and be able to make real progress in their lives. And so, like, in terms of the work that I do, it really goes back to my work with the Department of Children, Youth, and Families. And there, I essentially, like most of the work that I did with working with people from disadvantaged backgrounds, I was constantly trying to help people grow in ways that would help them to be able to take care of their children better, to take care of themselves better. And that led me to really appreciating and enjoying working with people. And I did that work in several capacities for probably about 25 years, and then decided that it was time for a change, that I wanted to move on to something else. My wife and I moved to Miami, Florida in 2019, and I was really excited about continuing that work in addition to coaching. But the pandemic happened, and so as a result, I had to decide what I wanted to do from that point on. And essentially what prompted me to really move into DEIB was that George Floyd was murdered, and it really caused me, and a lot of other people, it caused a lot of emotions, anger, frustration, sadness, just all of these emotions that wanted me, that pushed me to see if I could do something myself. And so essentially what I did was I decided that through my skills, maybe I could create something that was going to be helpful in terms of making people be able to make a change. And so what I did was I created Coaching for Community, and we can talk about that later. But essentially, what it was an education and coaching program designed to help people understand themselves more and understand how they could individually make a difference in their own lives, in their workplaces, their communities, and their families.
Wow, that is beautiful, André. You are totally changing the world, one person at a time, one company at a time, and that is beautiful. I applaud you because it has a lot of courage to do it, especially because during the time of the pandemic, the world was changing. And we kind of like opened a can of worms we were not expecting. And I do feel the same way like you feel. There shouldn't be so much hatred, so much divisions. Especially we are in the 21st century. We are supposed to evolve, not go back to the way we were before. Things are changing. And when I looked at your website, there are a couple of things that were, well, there were many things, but there were a couple of things that I would like to ask you if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I love the program that you put together. And I love the 7 steps that you mentioned. And the first step is to define, to know, and to be able to create a culture of non-racism. You need to know the definition of racism. So you want to put that a little more in depth?
Sure. The thing about racism is that you have a number of different people that have a number of different definitions. But in essence, really what it is it's racism is a way of being that people utilize to limit, to discourage, disgrace people in any number of different ways, whether it's in their neighborhoods, their communities, individually, in schools, just about every construct that we have in our society, whether it's education, housing, medical care, you name it. All of those areas are impinged on by people who maintain racist attitudes, which essentially is keeping people, like trying to limit people in the way that they think, trying to limit people in how they are able to live their lives, and believing that those people, other people, are not as good or not as worthy of the same rights as another group. And it comes across in so many different ways, but essentially it's been with us for so long, and it's one of those things that we constantly have to fight, because people are constantly trying through their belief systems to impose racist ideologies, racist thoughts on other people to keep them from being able to achieve the same goals.
Yes. So basically is the division, and I am and you're not, is the otherism, is thinking that you are in some way superior than others. And the idea is like in human rights, many people do not believe in human rights, and they believe they are imposed and they're man-made. So it is racism, right?
Right.
It is man-made. So we need to stop this. And by stopping this, we need to recognize it. And how can we call out racism?
Right. Right. That's a great question. I mean, essentially, we can call it out by looking and understanding how others are treated. Like typically, people, like all of us, treat people in certain ways, and so as as humans, as individuals, we tend to place bias on other people, and so in certain situations, it's difficult to understand whether a person is being racist until you gather evidence of that case, and gather evidence that they are, whether it's through their actions, through their words, any number of different ways of being. And what happens is that we, like, racism is so insidious, and it's in a lot of cases it can be hidden. And so in order to bring it to the surface, we really have to keep our eyes open, be aware of what's happening around us, and being able to bring it to the surface is really important. It can be a challenge. It can really, really be a challenge. Sometimes racism is really noticeable and really obvious, but it's important that when we do see it, that we do call attention to it, that whether we are standing up for someone else, whether we're standing up for ourselves, we need to bring attention to it. Sometimes it might be at a level that is, at a political level, at a higher level, and we need to call it out in order for us to be able to address it and to eliminate it.
Yes, and then you mentioned something very important right there. The political level. Sometimes our leaders are kind of driving us towards path that does not serve us as the country, as a community. Mm-hmm. And they because they need more votes, they allowed certain things to happen, or they are probably the cause of certain situations. And as a community and as the population, we need to recognize this. The leader is not only the political party, but it also is the population. We are also leaders, and we were talking about these, and to be diverse and to be in DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. We don't need certifications. We don't need to go to a college or a university and learn about it. We all know it because we are all humans, no matter our color or religion. The ideal is that when we vote, when we look at a political party, we are voting for the country. We're voting for the good of the country, not the good of a certain amount of people. How can we teach? We already talked about 2 of the 7 steps that you have in your program. How can we teach this to our family? How can we tell our children and other adults in our family and friends to be more diverse and inclusive?
It really comes down to having a conversation, because everyone, regardless of where you come from, your background, your gender, your sexual orientation, whatever, we all come together, and we're all in a different place. And so what's most important is that we have a willingness to be able to grow, a willingness to change, and a willingness to be open to understanding our limitations, and in certain cases, if we are, how we can limit how people are able to proceed in the world. And so as individuals, we really need to be aware of where we are and be willing to educate ourselves. So you're right, in terms of our leaders, one of the things that's really important is, like, in a lot of cases, people disempower themselves, and they can disempower themselves in different ways, whether it's through not engaging in the political process, whether it's through not speaking up about racism when they see it or when they hear it, whether it's through being quiet and swallowing what's given to them and not addressing things that don't feel right. Like, in order to grow and in order for our society to be able to kind of move past racism, we really need to take responsibility for ourselves and be able to learn more about where our shortcomings are, how we are, how we show up in the world, and what we can do individually to change our thoughts and then the thoughts of others. Because as we move forward, like whether it's in our family or our friends or any others, sometimes, if we hear things, if we hear people, like a friend, for example, disparaging someone, talking about someone's race or someone's background or what have you, if we're quiet and we recognize that that's wrong and we're quiet, what happens is that person may just assume that that's okay, and it's really not. So, and if you're feeling that, as an individual, feeling that conflict inside, you need to speak up to, as you said earlier, call attention to that and say, hey, listen, that's not nice. That, what you said about this person or this group of people here. So it's really about taking self-responsibility and helping us grow individually. And there's a number of different ways you can do that, but it's really about it's really about taking responsibility for yourself first.
Exactly. Taking responsibility for yourself and recognizing that speaking up is not going to do anything bad to you.
That's correct.
And sometimes being silent, which has been the case for women throughout the years, and through people from different races as well, you decide to be silent because you are afraid of the consequences. But in today's world, you should not be afraid no more, because there will be people that will be behind you, helping you. And you don't need to make riots. You don't need to make it in an aggressive way. It's just to call the attention, like you said, hey, that wasn't nice, and kind of like putting the person together again to realize what they're doing or they have said or done is not welcome while you're around.
That's absolutely true.
Yes, that's the part of where we can start. And that's probably something that we can start with our families, or not probably, that is the way we can start with our families, with our children. It's funny, but if you notice, and everybody noticed this, children are not racist. They all know, all they know is they're all kids and they all play together. They don't even discriminate against like if one of the kids is in a wheelchair, they don't even discriminate against that. All they want to know is like, what happened to you? And that's it. You tell them, and they continue playing, and they accommodate to the situation. And that's something that teaches us that as adults, we are responsible for the outcome of that child as an adult.
You're right. And to your point, like, children, we can learn, like, we as adults can learn so much from children. in the way that they're open, accepting, curious, loving. There's just so much that we can learn from them.
Yes. And there are many situations that tell us what to do. One of my opinions is that DEI and B is the new human resources, and it shouldn't be a separate department, which is now happening, or is a part of the department, but it's within the department, but it's different. To me, I think that DEI and B, it should be the new human resources, because human resources was a way to put everything together as humans, but we know it didn't work. And it was a way to silence people. If you are from a religion, we don't talk about religion at work. If you are Latin, we do not speak your language here. If you are Arabic, you don't speak about your customs at work. When now I say, no, it is okay to have those conversations. It is okay to celebrate those differences, because that is the way we'll learn from each other. And being in the United States, it's being surrounded by people from all over the world. I was talking to another guest the other day, and we were saying that this is probably one of the countries where you can go around the year through all cultures in the world, to different festivities, to different festivals that, the German, the Polish, different festivals around the year, the Yom Kippur, and you don't need to leave your hometown. All of them are happening basically at your backyard, if we call it that way. All you have to do is go to these festivals and realize that people are not what they are saying others are saying, what you probably might think. They're just people celebrating. They're from a different culture. So DEI has come to change that silencing and do not that we had in human resources. And I'm not opposed to human resources. I think that it should just become more a DEI, because
I'm with you.
Yeah, it oversees human rights.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, I think that, like, to your point, what I've seen in like the work that I've done with some of the individuals and organizations is that those people tend to look at, either the DEIB group or the officer, the DEI head or DEIB head as separate entities, like you said, and in that way they're almost like, it's almost like, hey, if we don't need it, or we don't have the money for it, let's just take it out and we don't have to worry about it. Where with your approach, it would allow for human resources to be all encompassing and not segment or separate that DEIB component. So I agree with you.
Yes, one of the things is the beauty of knowing many languages. If I don't know a language, just ask, what are you saying? People are not going to lie to you. That typically people are not talking about you. Maybe some will be, but but they're probably going to tell you what they're saying. So don't be afraid. And I think one of the things is that fear is what brings these divisions. And one very important point that I talking about divisions that I wanted to touch base with you and talk today with you was what is happening right now in Florida. And what are the anti-woke efforts, and how do they came about, if you can bring us a little bit of information on that.
Hi, I'm very happy to know you are here watching our podcast today. It is an honor to be featuring so many entrepreneurs on the journeys of their inside voice, their accent that is not an accident. And we want to reach out more people like you who are creating a better world of diversity, inclusiveness, equity, and belonging. So please take a moment to hit the subscribe button below, like, and share to others. And even if you want to leave a comment, that'll be nice. Thank you for your support. And now back to the episode.
I have lived in Florida. My wife and I have lived in Florida for 4 years, and we originally came from Rhode Island, and so like once we came here and got established, we noticed that there definitely was a different tenor in terms of the politics, and everybody's politics are different, and whether it's good or bad, like that's your belief, that's great. But what we noticed in Florida, and it's becoming an even more, it's seen at this point nationwide, is that the administration, the current administration, is really trying to take back, roll back, eliminate things that are fundamentally good and accepting for people, of people. So, for example, Governor DeSantis, who leads the administration, who's obviously he's in the process of running for president, has essentially attacked like most groups outside of white people. So they've done they've like targeted the LGBTQ community by creating this anti-gay law. They have actually a number of laws. They have targeted education and African American education by eliminating or rejecting the African American advanced studies curriculum for high school. So that has had to undergo differences in the curriculum because the administration feels that it's not a valid way to teach people or teach kids. There's been a number of different policies, whether it's redistricting, like redistricting or reorganizing the voting blocks in Florida, especially in the northern part of the state, so that there is less representation for Black people in those typical areas.
Yeah.
There is just an all-out attack in any number of different ways in terms of banning books, things that are enlightening for kids and that are good quality texts have been eliminated or have been pulled out of school system. At the higher ed level, there is a brain drain because professors do not want to teach here because they are not allowed to teach freely. They're not allowed to dig into certain concepts around race or CRT, any number of different things. So there is, and there have just like on a daily, it seems like monthly basis, you see the administration like impinging on the rights of people or trying to eliminate the voice of people or creating legislation that is going to keep people from basically being free. So it's been a real challenge here in terms of that. And so you wonder, like, what do you do? And what I've chosen to do, and others, other people that I know, is to ring the alarm, is to sound the alarm, and to speak on these things, like this forum, to say that this is not what's going on is not right. But it seems to be, the momentum that's happened in Florida is also in other states. So Florida is almost like a prime example, but there are other states where they're doing the same thing.
The pioneer.
Yes, and that's really disheartening, and it's disturbing, because if we want our society to grow and to be accepting and to eliminate racism, by taking these steps, we're going in the opposite direction. It's making it harder.
Exactly, and it is very difficult because I don't like to watch many news, but I at least watch them a couple of times a week because I have to stay updated, right? And there is a reason why I don't like to watch news, because I don't want to listen to opinions that will change who I am, my beliefs and values. Therefore, I go to podcasts, to radio stations, and listen, or I take the old way is the newspaper and read the news from there, because it's better. One of the things that is very difficult is to know what to do as a parent. I have a child in school. What can I do to help the efforts of not allowing our leaders, our politicians, to change the way our education is supposed to happen? Like, as a parent, how can a parent help?
Find people in your community that believe in the same things that you believe in. Like having a diverse book population, having a curriculum that is going to be more representative of the truth, as opposed to eliminating aspects of the truth. So by connecting with people, and there may in your community, there may be organizations or parent groups that are already kind of coming together. Join that group, because your voice is powerful, and it's going to have more of an impact if you come together and state what things you're not happy about or what you don't believe in. And we need to do more of that, because people tend to think, oh, wow, they've already changed the law. Oh, there's really not that much I can do, but there is. And politicians and their appointees are just people, and they can be voted in and they can be voted out. So by coming together as a group, you can really affect change. Might take some time, might take some effort, but you can make a difference in that.
How beautiful and how important exercise your right to vote is a way to keep your country current, and even in education. I've seen I'm naturalized American, and the one thing that I was super happy about was the right to vote when I got my citizenship, and I vote on every single ballot, because I don't think it's only the presidential ballot that counts. It's every single one of them, and read about what they believe, what they're doing, and especially the education. Already Florida was not so good in education, and we were getting there, and now we're like going back like 50 years.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And your point about voting, and like at the local level, not only at the presidential level, obviously that most people, or a large percentage of people vote at that level, but it's those the local and the state level where that really has an impact on our lives. And so if you're engaged in those areas, in terms of voting, your voice can be heard. You know, there are people out there, and sometimes, especially living in Florida, you know, there are times when you think, am I the only one that thinks this way? Because sometimes you just don't hear those voices that are in support of the things that you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, you know, it comes down to who's loudest, who's going to speak over the next person. But we all can make an impact.
Yes.
We can all make an impact at, you know, our lowest levels, our local levels on up.
Yes, you see, it's a peaceful way to make an impact. Exercising your right to vote. You're making an impact, big impact, but you are not becoming an aggressive person. You're not going crazy about it. You're just exercising your right to vote and congregating with others that do share your opinions and do share your beliefs. And actually, and they're not beliefs, it's rights. Because you need to exercise your right, and the right to our children to have the correct education. And so what it, you know, you always say, what is next? But we're running almost out of time, and I had so many questions that I wanted to ask you, but I want to give you the chance to talk about what you do for others and how you help other businesses.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Maritza. I really appreciate that. Basically, the core of my business, I have my organization, or my business is called Jump Street Coaching. And in 2020, I created racial justice for work that I do in terms of DEIB work. And so I work with individuals and organizations by providing them with DEIB-based coaching, consulting. I have developed a program called Coaching for Community. It's an anti-racism and anti-discrimination program. And so essentially what I do is I work with both individuals. I also work in groups of people to help them to create their own personalized anti-racism, anti-discrimination action plan, and to help them to learn more. We talked a little bit earlier about the need to learn more for yourself, whether it's through podcast. You can learn in so many ways: podcasts, books, videos, television. There's a lot of different ways to learn, documentaries. So what I love to do is to connect with people, and through coaching, help them to understand where they are, and so that they can create an anti-racism, anti-discrimination mindset that's going to help them be better people themselves, but also help them to create a better mindset in their families and in their communities, workplaces. Once you learn about those different concepts yourself, you're able to kind of, just through normal interaction, you're able to share those ideas to other people. And that's what we need in order to start to move away from racist thoughts and biased beliefs, is to be able to create a mindset that's going to help us to grow as individuals and be able to understand where we are in the process and how we can create change in our lives and the lives of others.
That is beautiful. Thank you so much for doing that, Andre.
Thank you.
And how can people contact you?
Well, they can reach me through my website, which is Racial Just Us, and it's spelled RACIALJUSTUS.com. And that brings you through, and they can connect with me there. My email And or like my email is coach@Jump Street Coaching. And people can also connect with me through LinkedIn. You know, like I'm at Jump Street Coaching through LinkedIn, and I welcome any thoughts, any connections, and I'd love to talk to you.
So if you feel like your family or people that you work with will benefit from this program, contact André Brown in LinkedIn, Jump Straight LinkedIn as well, Jump Straight Coaching in LinkedIn. And you can go to rachaeljustask.com to connect directly with him. Is there anything and last thought or a question that you would like to add before we say goodbye?
I just want to thank you for having me on, but also just having the bravery and the leadership in terms of creating this forum for people to learn, because it's going to really help people to learn more about diversity, equity, inclusion, belonging, and that's what we need. And so I just want to thank you for the work that you do, and thanks again for having me on the podcast.
Thank you so much, André, and I hope to see you again in another episode. And we will continue with the other questions we couldn't talk about today. And to everybody, remember, you came to this world because a greater person, Source, the universe or God, brought you here with love to be loved and love each other. Until next time, bye.
Bye-bye.
Hi, it's Maritza here. If you like this episode of My Accent is No Accident podcast and would like to listen more like this, subscribe wherever you're listening to it or watching it. Leave us a nice review and share with your friends, family, and network. Thanks for listening.